Juan, and it's your boys Alonso y Juan. Another edition of the Bleed Los podcast this week. But this week we have a really special guest. If you've been to the Ravine, you've been to Dodger Stadium, you've heard him introduce anyone and everyone. We have Todd Leitz this week. Todd, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Dodgers have won two straight, and I think we've turned the season around. So I'm feeling really good today.
We really appreciate the time, and now that the Dodgers are the best team in baseball for the last two games, we wanted to have you on to shoot the breeze, because I feel like a lot of a lot of folks know you, but they don't know you, if that makes sense.
Sure, it does. I'm just a disembodied voice in this, and I don't get to do a whole lot of creativity, because my position as PA announcer for Dodger Stadium is a role it's official. It's part of the Major League Baseball game. So I don't get to kind of riff and ad lib a lot. My job is pretty straight. So it's not surprising that it's just a voice that you hear at the stadium. But there's so much more to me.
No, and I'm glad we're going to dive into that today. So let's just dive into it. How long have you been with the Dodgers, and how did you even get into this gig?
This is my seventh season with the Dodgers. I started in 2015, and boy, we've had a hell of a run since that time. I've been privileged to, be there to see some amazing baseball, some crushing heartbreak. This Astros celebrating on our field for the World Series victory, that was just horrible. Um, getting gut punched by the Washington Nationals after our team had the best record in baseball and we're clearly one of the best teams in baseball in 2019. But I've also seen the joy and the comebacks and the walk-offs and just all the great stuff. So what a great core group of people, and what a privilege it's been to sit, as I call it, in the catbird seat right there above home plate and watch this great team, these great players do what they do. So it's been tremendously amazing. I'm so happy that the Dodgers, as that group of guys headed by Kershaw and Turner, were able to climb the mountain and plant their championship flag at the top in 2020 and finally get there and win it all. So I'm so happy for those guys, and I can just see it in their body language that it was such a huge relief for them and for us as fans. 32 years of being, close and not quite getting there has been, very frustrating. And the past several years have been tough because we have been so good and so close, but haven't gotten the job completed, and they finally did that. So, but to answer your question about how I got to the Dodgers, it's kind of a crazy story. I mean, I have spent a lot of time at Dodger Stadium over the years. I've been in Los Angeles since '95, and I've done everything from sing the national anthem a dozen times at Dodger Stadium before Dodger games to being an emergency medical technician doing EMT standbys with American Medical Response at Dodger Stadium. You see those EMTs in the concourses with their gurneys and their gear. I was one of those guys for a while. I've been a reporter and covered things like Manny Ramirez's introduction to the media. So I've done all this stuff at Dodger Stadium, and then I had the opportunity to audition announcer's gig, and that came after 2014 when I auditioned to be the Padres PA announcer. They had like an open American Idol style call for a PA announcer, and I think they were trying to create some media or social media buzz around the 10th anniversary of Petco Park back then. And so I went out there with thousands of other people and stood in line and wrapped around the stadium, had my chance to go out there and make an announcement, and they kept whittling it down, 2,500 people to 500 people to 100 people to 50 to, and I made the top three and the top two, and then they gave the job to the guy that's been doing it ever since. It's just something I did because I was like, well, I should give this a try because I think I could do this. And the next season, I heard that the Dodgers might be looking for a part-time fill-in PA announcer. So I said, hey, I'm your guy. I've just spent several months doing the job, calling several major league ball games with the Padres, and I'm ready to go. And so they said, well, why don't you come down and call the College Baseball Classic, or call a couple innings of that? So I did, and after I did a couple things, Lon Rosen, the senior vice president of marketing and production and everything, came up, "I'm going to need you for the Angels series." And I was like, whoa, do I have the job? And so after some, negotiating back and forth, the job basically kind of fell in my lap. And so one door closed with the Padres, thank God, and one door opened with the Dodgers. So here I am 7 seasons later, and very grateful to be able to do this.
Hey, Todd, it's Juan. Well, the Padres loss is the Dodgers gain. You're the perfect guy to ask this question to. This is a little something that we started with Adrian Gonzalez. Being that you've been a lifetime Dodger fan, right? Is that my understanding?
Well, I grew up in Boston, and if you grow up in Boston, you learn to hate the Yankees and love the Red Sox. And so, I was in Boston for until I was teen, say, and so I was a big Red Sox fan. But I was a baseball fan, and I always admired the Dodgers from afar because they got to the World Series when the Red Sox were having their hearts broken every year. So, back in the late 70s when the Dodgers were always playing the Yankees, I always rooted for the Dodgers, and when we were playing wiffle ball, I were the Dodgers versus the Red Sox. So that's how I got to know, Lopes, Garvey, Say, and Russell, and Pedro Guerrero, and all that stuff. And so I was very familiar with them. Just being from afar and seeing Dodger Stadium, I was like, man, that's a beautiful place, and the mountains, and the trees, and the whole thing. So I guess I was a closet Dodger fan back then, but now when the Red Sox played the Dodgers in the World Series, I was rooting for the Dodgers, and no question. That might disappoint some of your listeners. That, whoa, he started out a Red Sox fan, but hey, I'm on the right team now, and if your listeners can't see us now, but we're all pretty much Dodger garbed out, and
well, it was like finding out that Vince Scully was a Giants fan, right? And then he was doing the Dodgers for as long. The reason why I bring it up, I know you're an alum. Is this correct? You're an alum of UC San Diego?
That's correct. Yeah, I went to UC.
So how much time did you spend down in San Diego?
Just my college years. I loved it down there, the beach. I lived right in Del Mar on the beach, and I loved it. And I was a kid. I was 19, 20 years old. But I came up to Los Angeles and with my now wife back in '85, and I've been here ever since. And so I'm an Angelino, and no question about it.
So that being said, San Diego, LA. We are big taqueros here on the show. We're all about tacos here. And this is now a little something that's become a tradition on the show where we like to ask our guests, what is your favorite taco? And in a follow-up question for you, being that you've been in San Diego and in LA, which one is a better taco town, San Diego or LA? And do you have any favorite spots?
Well, tacos al pastor are my favorites.
Nice.
I like those kind of street tacos al pastor. There's a place in it's not too far from Dodger Stadium. It's this little hole in the wall on Glendale Boulevard, not far from the Glendale border, and in Atwater Village. I forget what it's called, but you walk up and some old lady gives you tacos, and it's fantastic. When I was down in San Diego, there was a chain called Roberto's, and it was kind of a fast food, kind of a Mexican place, and fantastic food. And to live, our back wall shared their parking. That's what we ate like almost every day. So that had to be a favorite in San Diego. But here, I can't even remember the name because you just walk by and get tacos and breakfast burritos and stuff.
Is it Taco Zone by chance?
It might be. It's such a little tiny place. Yeah. I mean, you make your order through a screen window, and but it's in Atwater Village, just right there. So that's one of my
pineapple. Do you get pineapple on those tacos there?
I could do that. Yeah, I like pineapple pizza or Hawaiian pizza, whatever. I'll eat that.
There are certain places that serve al pastor that have pineapple, right? And that's when you sit there and you go, oh wow, this might be a legit taco place. So that I was just curious because we're compiling
I've had those.
we're compiling a list of all the places to hit in LA. So thank you for contributing to that.
Yeah, but I couldn't even give you the name of it, so I'm sorry. It was just one of those places I would walk by and get. But I think if you walk through Atwater Village, down the main drag there, you'll see it. It's right there.
You just made it a very interesting game for our listeners. So now they're all going to be driving around Atwater and Glendale area looking for this place where Todd Leitz goes to get tacos al pastor. So thank you for that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Now you're making me hungry. It's lunchtime right now while we're speaking, so I could go for it now.
A hot take that I've had about pineapple. I don't believe that pineapple belongs on pizza or tacos. If you want to fight me about it, we can fight about it. That's cool. But I will defend the integrity of pizza and tacos to the end. That no piñas belong on either.
Alonzo just chose violence today. Good job, Alonzo.
I woke up choosing violence, but I stand by my statement. I own it. And
he thinks piñas have their place. I can relate. I can relate. In fact, we do a Dodger thing called Ask the Dodgers, and a recent one was pineapple on pizza, and it was pretty funny to hear the guys' takes on whether they like pineapple on pizza. So I guess that's a thing. But I think it gives it a little tropical flavor for the tacos and for the pizza. So I like that.
No, and I listen, to each their own. But if I wanted a tropical anything, I probably wouldn't eat pizza. That's just my take.
So to add a little more controversy to this, are you a pizza over a taco guy then, Todd?
Well, I am half Italian, so love pizza, and I like to make pizza. I like to eat pizza. I like to make Italian food because I got a big Italian family back east. So just call me a taco transplant. How about that?
All right.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I mean, as you know, back on the East Coast, it can get a little cumbersome trying to find tacos from time to time. So
I had no idea. I had no idea what a burrito was or a taco was when I first moved. We didn't even know what avocados were. We're like, what are these green squishy things? We had no idea, So it was, moving to California was a real learning experience for this East Coast kid.
Well, and it worked out. It worked out because now you're the voice of the Dodgers. So, I mean, no complaints here.
I don't think, I think there's we've heard about the East Coast bias, but I think there's a West Coast bias here where us guys on the West Coast, we just look at you guys as the East Coast. How do you not know about this stuff? Jorge Castillo on our last episode was talking about the same thing. He's from Massachusetts also, and he came out here and he didn't know anything about. He said he had never been around a Mexican before. So, for him to discover, and now his girlfriend's Mexican. So can you talk about, Todd, what was that transition coming from the East Coast to the West Coast? Because when I go to the East Coast, it seems like everyone's on fast forward. I'm just like, what's the rush? What was that experience like for you?
Well, my family moved us up to the Bay Area. We lived up in the Bay Area for my middle school and high school years. And the Bay Area is different than Southern Cal. It's there's a different vibe there. It's colder. I thought it was all going to be the Sunkissed commercials and Randy Newman, but it wasn't. The ocean was freezing because of the Japanese current that comes down across and the winters were cold and rainy, and so it was. I kind of was used to having crappy weather from growing up in Boston, but I was still a kid, so I was pretty malleable, and I was able to and there's so much great things here in California that who could scoff at them? I was like, give me a burrito. I want a burrito. That looks good. Give me some tacos. So it was an easy transition. It really was. But coming down to Southern Cal, that's what I wanted to do. That's why I went to UC. I wanted those hot blonde girls running around on the beach in Del Mar and Malibu and stuff. I wanted that. So I went down to San Diego, and luckily I met a few, and I met one that has now become my wife, and she's an LA native. She grew up, born and raised here in Los Angeles, and this is our home now, and this is where we've raised our daughters, who are now adults. They live here as well. They were born at Cedars-Sinai, and they still live here they live and work here in Los Angeles, and I think this is where they're going to stay. So we're all Angelinos. I'm very proud of it. And I used to work for City Councilman Tom LaBonge for the city of Los Angeles. There was no bigger booster of the city of Los Angeles than Tom LaBonge, who passed away the same day as Tommy Lasorda died this year. And this guy was Mr. Los Angeles. This guy was the one who, loved all the great LA landmarks and was on the sidelines at the Coliseum with NFL films during the heyday of the Raiders and stuff. I've been inculcated and indoctrinated into the grandeur that is Los Angeles, and I love it. I could even give you the original name of Los Angeles, but given by the original Spanish.
What is that?
Oh, you guys don't know it?
I don't.
No.
What is it? El Ciudad de Nuestra Señora de Los Angeles de Porciuncula.
Oh, look at that. Get a little history lesson here from Todd.
Yeah, and it's that's where Queen of the Angels came from. La Reina de Los Angeles de Porciuncula. And I think Porciuncula, which was a bad word or something, but it means something like little town by the river. And the original settlers settled on the river, on the LA River, down where Olvera Street is now. And that was the original settlement, La Placita. So and LA, 1784, I think it was established. So it's not a baby city. It's a grand metropolis. But enough about this, politics and all that stuff.
You sold me. You don't have to convince me, Todd. Even though you were born in Massachusetts, you are a true Angelino, especially with dropping that knowledge.
You're invited to the carne asada. Just solely on that.
You're invited to the carne asada.
Yeah.
That's my second carne asada.
No, and I mean, one thing that I did want to ask you, kind of speaking about important to the city of Los Angeles, we haven't had an opportunity to have anyone on that got to experience the celebration that was the ring ceremony, and I was kind of curious, because I know you guys rehearsed it, and it was a big it was a well done production by the Dodgers. I mean, it couldn't have been done any better, and you were obviously a big part of that. Can you walk us through kind of like the day before the rehearsal, and I know obviously we all want a parade, we all want that. I know you tweeted about that as well, but that's the closest as we're going to get to it for right now. But kind of walk us through everything and kind of how that experience was for you.
Well, it was really great because we had to be quiet about the fact that we had all these great who were the idols of the Dodger players that were going to actually be presenting the rings to them and congratulating them. And so that was such a really, really cool little thing that the Dodgers were able to put together and make happen. And so, I had to sit on that for a few days and make sure that I didn't, ruin the surprise. But a lot of the guys were really surprised, and just to look down on them, you guys saw the camera views and stuff, but I was watching the guys sitting on the rail waiting for their introduction to come out and get their ring, as they were sitting there in rapt attention watching their favorite player growing up, somebody like Junior or Ichiro, presenting them with their ring and giving them props and stuff. And they were like little kids sitting there, and you could just see the 10-year-old baseball fan or little leaguer, their idol speaking to them and presenting them this ring. It just was. The Dodgers are so good about the tradition and the continuity and the generational aspect of baseball, and that really hit me in that moment. That these guys were little kids one time, and they idolized Ken Griffey Jr. or Will Clark. We found out that Clayton's favorite player was Will Clark of the Giants, and so it was neat. It was like they were little kids again, and then to see them come out and get there and then kind of hold it up and look at it and study it and show it off, and it was pretty special. And I thought it was really well executed. Opening day is always like a blur for me because I'm announcing the entire organization, and this guy's in, and this guy's not here, and that guy, and it's as I'm reading it, and so it's always a crazy blur. But it's only second only to Jackie Robinson Day, which is the most difficult day for me as a PA announcer. And Jackie Robinson Day is difficult because everybody wears 42, and nobody's got a name on their back. So these visiting teams come in, and these pitchers come in. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? So we have to figure all that out and get those guys in and give them their due. So, but it was really beautifully done, and I hope it was a cathartic moment for Dodger fans to see that, and to see especially Clayton get his ring and immediately hold it up to the fans. I thought that was so cool, really, really cool.
Speaking of rings, Todd, you got a World Series ring. Is that correct?
It's on its way.
Oh, so you haven't gotten it yet, but you're gonna get it.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
I mean, how does that feel? I mean, you're gonna have a World Series ring.
Well, that was, when I initially got the job, thinking about being a PA announcer, I was like, wow, if they win the World Series, does that mean I get a ring too? And so having that feeling is really special, because it's a tremendous achievement, and not by me, but by the team. However, I was there for so much of it. I've been, like I said earlier, I've been there for so much heartbreak, so many gut punches, so many like shocking home runs in the ninth inning that you're like, how did that happen? How did we, the 18 inning game against the Red Sox in the 18 World Series, all that stuff. All of it. I can't get up and stomp away from the TV when the Dodgers are blowing it. I have to sit there and announce the next guy up, and stay frosty with it, and stay professional. And that's hard, because I do love the team, and I'm invested emotionally, just like you guys, the fans are. And so yeah, I've gone with them and lived and died and on the pitch. So yeah, I feel like, well, hey, it's something that we all earned.
Okay,
and,
Todd,
you have special.
You have to walk me through this, because I admire your professionalism. You just hinted at it right now, especially the way they've been playing for this past month. How is it? How are you? How are Dieter? How are the DJs? How do you guys deal with this in the stadium, watching how this team has been playing?
Well, I can't speak for the other guys, but I know them very well. I mean, me and Severe have, for several seasons have sat shoulder to shoulder and talking and sharing our lives with each other. And we're a very tight crew in there. Dieter sits kind of up behind. So we don't have as much, we do a lot of hand signaling, and we have a rhythm that we've established. But yeah, I'm kind of legendary for my foul mouth and for my passion, my pasión y corazón, with the Dodgers. And then I'll be like, I'll be dropping F-bombs and whatever, and then now batting, and so so thank God that my little push to talk, I have a push to talk microphone. It's a toggle. It's not a toggle. So when you push it, keep your hand on it, and then you talk. But if you take your hand off, then you're. So if that thing was toggled on, I don't know. I probably wouldn't still have the job. But I try to keep it. I try to keep it frosty. I try to keep it professional. And the past couple seasons, they've moved me out into the press box because social distancing. So we can't all be crammed into our booth like four little sardines, shoulder to shoulder. I've been moved out of the press box next to Bill Shakin or Bill Plaschke or some of the beat reporters, and so I got to be careful, man. They're reporters. I don't want them. I don't want to see in the newspaper. Oh, PA announcer Todd Leitz was throwing a tantrum and Kershaw got home run up. So I got to be careful, and I don't see the reporters as enemies or anything like that, but I'm kind of in enemy territory out there. And these guys are reporters. They're journalists. They got to do their job and so forth. So I got to be careful now. And I don't know how long I'm going to be out in the press box. I like it out there. I get a slightly better view and a little more airflow. But I miss my guys because we had definitely had our own culture in there. We had folks that would come back season after season, even some that preceded my tenure as PA announcer. So you develop this relationship with the people that because you're together, in all kind of conditions, 82 to 92 games a year or more, through thick and thin. So I miss that camaraderie because now I'm out there with a reporter. But the Dodgers have been scuffling. Let's put it mildly. The Dodgers have not been playing like the Dodgers, and we are so spoiled as fans. And they hardly lost a game at Dodger Stadium last year. I mean, it was just unbelievable how great they played last year. And so for the past times I've been there, their records have been franchise records, home winning records, at Dodger Stadium. So we're not used to getting our asses kicked. We're not used to seeing teams come in and sweep us. We're not used to seeing the San Diego Padres on Sunday Night Baseball come back from a 7-1 deficit and beat us in extras. I mean, that was, that was galling. And
which one would have been worse, Todd? That one, or if they would have blown that game last Saturday against the Angels after being up 13-0?
Oh yeah, look. Thankfully, when they're on the road, I kind of tune out. I like to listen to the radio because I think baseball's a great radio game, and listening to Rick and Charlie and Tim Neverett now, and so I really enjoy the base. So I don't watch so much. Tana's that night. First time I'd been in a restaurant in a year, and I'm with my wife and some friends, and we're having an Italian meal, and I see the Kershaw's pitching against the Angels, and I look up, and it's 8-0. Oh wow, great, 13. Awesome. Okay, I can get back to eating. And we get home, and I'm like 13-11. What? 14-11? What the hell? And yeah, so that would have been harsh. But to have to sit there and listening to the ESPN broadcast, A-Rod, and they were buttering up the Dodgers all game. And then as soon as San Diego started to come back, the tide turned, and as I guess it should. They got to keep the broadcast interesting. But that, to me, that was the worst one. That, to see them come in and take 3 out of 4. Yeah. And, I mean, there's a place in my heart for San Diego, but not for baseball. Sorry.
I am curious because I feel like you and Severe and Dieter, your whole crew, it's reminiscent to me of a lot of like NBA setups. And what I mean by that is if you go to the arena, you have a PA announcer that isn't just like a straight PA announcer. Like, how there's just the monotone PA announcer that just says the name and just kind of gets by. And then they may have some house music, but as you know, in the NBA, they have DJs now. The PA announcer is a little more into it, et cetera. And I feel like you guys do a fantastic job of helping the vibe, even when stuff may not be going great, as Juan alluded to with some of the rougher stuff that we've gone through. But how long did it take you guys to build that rapport? Because I attribute that almost to like either playing on a team or playing with the band. It takes a while to kind of, figure out timing with each other and get comfortable because obviously everyone's kind of like, okay, because there isn't really a manual per se as far as how to do even what you do. So how long did it take you guys to really get comfortable with each other to kind of have that rhythm as you were talking about?
Not very long. I mean, Severe and I had been doing it for a few years. Nancy B was the organist before Dieter came on in 2016. So we had kind of a thing going, before that. And Severe has been there even longer than I have. So he's worked with other announcers. But there is a personal relationship there. We all genuinely like each other, share our lives with each other, talk, before and after game. We've got a fantastic audio engineer who really, really knows how to deal with the audio acoustics of the Ravine, Patrick Sweeney, who's been there for like 13, 14 seasons or more. So it didn't take long. There was just some kind of a magic alchemy or something that happened. When Dieter came on, he kind of updated some the song choices that he would play. And obviously watching a game with Dieter playing is kind of like playing Name That Tune. Why did Dieter play this tune in that moment? You get I are from kind of the same era, so we share some of the same musical background. Severe has taught me the great hip hop music. I've learned so much about more contemporary music from Severe. So it's just kind of we all dig each other and respect what we're doing. And for me, when I first came, I was replacing a guy that had been there for many seasons, Eric Smith, and I wanted to be myself, because you can only be yourself, right? But I also wanted to tread that fine line. I didn't want fans to go, "Whoa, who the hell is that guy?" I wanted to do traditional transition, and then as I got comfortable, I started to add my own stuff, the way I guys' names and stuff, and I try to give it the energy, but I don't want to. I don't want to do it like football or basketball. Baseball is a much more steady kind of a thing. So I'm trying to find that fine line between making sure there's good energy and some gravitas to what I'm doing, but not going over the top and not doing anything that's really like, I don't know, what I consider hokey, or as we used to say in radio, and you may know this, so we used to call them pukers. People that talk like this. Hey, everybody, come on out and have coffee with us here. I was like, come on. So I try to find that nice thing, but as you asked, Juan, that's tough when the team is not playing good, and that when Mookie took that third strike in a strike the other night with the bases loaded in a key situation, I was like, what the but I had to announce Corey, and Corey comes right out. Corey Seager, he's in the batter's box before the other guy, before the ball is even out of the catcher's mitt. So, you just got to, and you want to give him his due, and you want to give him his music and make sure that he's coming in there. And of course, he turns out he hits a 2-run single and kind of gets us back where we needed to be to come back and win that game. So I'm always cognizant of the fact that no matter what happens on the field, we have to do our job up top. And I think we do a really good job of keeping the energy in the stadium going. And music is so great to do that, but it also is. I also feel like I have my part to play in that as well. And I can't be like, oh, Corey Seager. I gotta be there for him.
Have you had a moment where like, something crazy has happened and you're just like, oh, right. Coming up to the like, have you ever had anything like that?
During the game, I'm really focused, but yeah, I mean, I remember when in 2019, when Kendrick hit that, my light just went out. Howie Kendrick hit that grand slam off of Kershaw, basically to put that game 5 out of reach and season. I was physically, it was that, I say gut punch, I've said gut punch a couple times. That was one of them. And I love Howie. Howie's a great guy. He was a great Dodger. He's a great baseball player, great angel. And he came in and laid the wood to us that night. And that blow was just, oh my God. And that was one of those moments where it was really hard to announce the next batter. Luckily, it was one of their batters, so I could kind of give it that monotone, Ryan Zimmerman, So and people notice that all the time. They're like, hey, I notice you're like really up for the Dodgers, but for the other team, you're kind of like, I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm the Dodgers PA now, so I'm not going to give them any love. Sometimes I'll give former Dodgers a little bit of love when they come back. Like when like if Jock or Kike come back, I'll give them a little love and stuff, and but just once, just
once is enough.
Give the fans a chance to say, and we appreciated your service to the Dodgers, and then it's game on. I'm not even really sure how much the players even notice what I'm doing up there, but that's okay. I don't spend too much time going down there and seeking out that the players or anything like that. DJ Severe has a relationship with many of them because he's able to go down into the press or to the clubhouse and talk about what their walk-up songs are going to be and that kind of stuff. And so he communicates with them on that level. But I figure, but I hear from secondhand that they're digging what we're doing. They like the vibe. They're so happy, as we are, that fans are back in the stands too. Because last year was a trip. Last year was strange. The crowd noise was, thank God for the crowd noise that was piped in, and we had somebody sitting right behind me who was doing different prompts for different types. Like if somebody doubled in the gap, it was a big swell. If somebody homered, it was a bigger swell. If somebody dropped a ball, so all that stuff was worked out and programmed by our great producer Tom Darren, who runs Dodger Vision, and so that was key because it was just cutouts. It was just us and the cutouts. And I did one game where there was no crowd noise, and it was eerie, guys. I tell you, it was just eerie. But with the crowd noise, it kind of made it feel normal. And I'm not sure how you guys felt watching it on TV.
It was weird. It was weird. I will say that. I mean, obviously, it's an empty stadium, but I can't even imagine in your position, having an empty stadium and still being a PA announcer. But I was curious, what was that vibe like for you going from, empty stadium to, peppered stadium, I guess, with, what is it, 33% or something like that right now?
Yeah, we got about 15,500 are allowed. They've sold out every game of the homestands that we've had. It's a huge difference. I mean, 15,000 people getting psyched up about something great that's happened when is a I think Clayton Kershaw mentioned it during his in-game interview with Joe and Oral last night. He's people that can make a lot of noise, and I love our fans because they're baseball savvy and they understand when we prompt them to make some noise and whatnot, but they know when to make noise. They know when to stand up and cheer the guys on. 1,000. Yeah, it doesn't sound like 56,000, rocking the stadium and literally making the place shake, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I can't wait until we can get a full house once again. Kind of getting close to that. I have no idea when that'll actually happen, but maybe June, July, maybe. We'll see.
Did they have you doing any of the postseason stuff in Texas, or was it all recorded? I honestly don't know the answer to that question, so that's why I was curious.
That was the Texas Rangers public address announcer. So that was a hard thing for me to not be able to be there for the guys. They recorded some of Dieter's stuff, and they had all their walk-up songs that the crew over there at Globe Life Park would play. But I wasn't there. My voice wasn't there. Nobody asked me to do that. In fact, we had to call a division series between the Astros and the A's at Dodger Stadium because of the protocols and everything. They were playing at Dodger Stadium, and then another series was going on at Petco. So I had to call the Astros. The Astrolls, as we call them.
Oh,
there it is.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. Can you repeat that one again, Todd?
The Astrolls.
Thank you.
I was thinking assholes, but I mean that's fine too. I mean that's
Astrolls is perfect. I love it.
Yeah, or I've heard all kinds of names for it, but that was hard because I had to give George Springer. All these guys are whatever. So, but I had to give him as much love as I would give maybe a Dodger. And I, maybe I did. And maybe I'm not professional enough to give him to give the Astros players the full love because I just couldn't do it. But I do know that the Astros contacted our executive producer and said, hey, we know how hard that must have been for your crew. We thank you for doing such a great job for us. They won the series too. So we had to see them celebrate again. Field. Seriously.
Pain.
Pain, anguish, horror. And so they said we're gonna buy your crew dinner. So that hasn't happened yet, but I've been told that sometime this season they're gonna have dinner sent over for us, and that's at least they appreciate it. And I know the A's organization really appreciated what we did for them too, because we did our for their, and I don't know what they're used to back at their regular stadiums, but they got the Dodger Stadium treatment. So
I believe it's something with trash cans. I can't confirm, but we'll look into that. But but we have Todd Leitz here for a few more minutes. And Juan had an intriguing question for you. Juan, go ahead.
Well, yeah. You mentioned it, you hinted at it, Todd, being that it was weird last year with not having any fans on there. Is this true? Did you actually sing the national anthem and Take Me Out to the Ball Game to an empty stadium?
Yeah,
I
it
know
was, it was
I
yeah.
know you've sung the national anthem, and also I want to hear. I know you have a band. You have a history in music, and what I love about that is that, there's a lot of times, especially if you're an artist, if it doesn't happen for you, quote unquote, making it big, you tend to give it up, but you kept doing it. You're still playing in the band and you're still doing it. And I wish that people would do more of that instead of giving up. Right. And, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. Obviously you love it, so you keep doing it. So you weren't doing it for the fame. So if you could talk about those two things, I'd love to hear your answers on that.
Well, I think I mentioned it earlier. I sang the national anthem and God Bless America at Dodger Stadium times over the years from about '07 to 2013 or something like that. I'd come back twice a year, and they'd book me for big games like Mother's Day and Father's Day and stuff like that. So I was kind of regular with singing the anthem there. So I was no stranger to that. I've also sung many times for the Angels. I've gotten to stand up on their dugout and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during the seventh inning stretch for the Angels as well. I even sang at Fenway Park once, 2004. So I was no stranger to sing anthem, and with no in the stands, and every night or every day it was Dieter playing just a version of it. So I said to my boss, "Hey, let me sing it one. I mean, there's nobody here, whatever." I think I sang it one day when we had, it was like the guys from the alternate site were playing a game against each other. So some of the guys like Rios and Lux at the time came out got their chance to take their cuts at Dodger Stadium and stuff. So I sang it before that game. And then I sang it again before a game. And then lived out a child fantasy by singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in the seventh inning stretch, to cardboard cutouts. Kind of like Harry Carey used to do it at Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
He'd get up there and say, "I had a 1 and a 2 and a 3," and so I always wanted to do that. I always thought, would it be cool if a PA announcer got up there and sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" and led the crowd and "Take Me Out to the Ball Game"? So I don't know if they'll ever ask me to do that when the crowd is really there, but that's okay. I don't, whatever. I got to do it that day and it was really fun. As far as the band goes, we've been playing together with one of my writing partners since 1996. We first got together and started playing music together. And, we started by we were playing fast pitch softball, and we were on a team full of like rock stars. We're on this like showbiz league out in the San Valley. And, guys like Neil Giraldo, who's Pat Benatar's husband and guitarist, and Matt Bissonette, who's played bass for everybody from, including Elton John. And I think he's touring with Elton John and Ringo Starr right now, to Johnny Crawford, who was in Berlin. You remember that song, "Riding on the Metro" by Berlin back in the 80s. Anyway, so all these guys were involved in music and all this stuff. And so we got together and we started playing some music together. And I've been playing with this one guy ever since. And we created a band, Electrified, and we used to play around town. And then, we all have other careers and do other things, so we're busy. So it's like, for me, going out and playing softball on the weekends, it's like getting together and playing poker or something with my buddies. It's a chance to go hang out with guys. And you know how guys are. Guys want to do stuff together. Guys don't just sit around and talk like we're talking. But guys like to do stuff. They like to have an activity, So that's kind of our way of night is music night. Let's get together. We'll rehearse. We'll record. We'll write some songs, And so we've been doing that for quite a long time. I remember rehearsing the night before 9/11. I was a reporter at the time, and we were playing music all night. And I was a morning reporter. Call in the morning. My boss had turned the TV on. The World Trade Center is burning, and then everything went. So trying to fit that music in, it's something that you have to pay a little attention to and make a little effort to keep it part of your life. And that's all I'm trying to do is I love to sing. I've sung in master chorales and like really classical style type music and that kind of thing. But for me, it's just about whatever gift I was given with my voice, I try to use it and share it, and it gives me great pleasure. So being a PA announcer is a really great thing for a guy like me to do, because I got a lot of hot air.
And what was the name of the band again, Todd?
Core, 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 like your core friends, your core values, your core music, your core tunes.
I like it.
We have a lot of fun, and we got some good music. We don't suck. I mean, we got some good musicians, and guys have come and gone over the years, but our core of core has kind of stayed together. And so that's what I'll be doing later tonight on my off night. And thank God my wife is supportive. We've been married for 33 plus years, so she's kind of like, yeah, you can get out of the house if you want. That's fine.
Well, listen, Todd, we really appreciate the time for you joining us this week. And most importantly, if you want to find Todd, you can find him on Twitter. It's at Todd_Leitz, Leitz. Damn, that's a tongue twister for me. And go give him a follow. And likewise, I'm sure he shares all the music stuff on there. So check it out. But again, huge thanks, Todd. We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, Todd. Three things I learned from you today, Todd. First, this is your speaking voice. It's not an act when you announce the Dodgers. This is you're a very lucky man to have that voice that you do. Two, I learned the next time I go to a Dodger Stadium and I'm watching the Dodgers, I'm going to be looking up at that press box to see if you're dropping F-bombs once we start losing. It's great to know that you are a real fan. And three, what I learned is that you are a Renaissance man. You are an example to the rest of us on how to live life and just do the things that you love. So thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, keep following your passions. If whether it's having a successful podcast or working for a major league organization, just keep following that path until you get to where you're going. And to point out that Father's Day, graduations are all coming up right now. I'm on Cameo.com, which is a really cool site for you you can book me to give a shout out to your dad who's a Dodger fan or grew up with Koufax or whatever. And go on Cameo.com /Dodgers PA, and for not too much money, I'll give you a nice video out customized to the person that you want to give the love to, and check out my reviews. People seem to dig what I'm doing for them, and so I just thought I'd get that in there. Shameless plug, but I have a lot of fun doing it because I get to interface with the fans. And guys, it's not Dodger Nation, it's Dodger Globe. I mean, I've done them for people in Poland, Manchester, England, all over the world. It's crazy. And all over the country, too. So it's a lot of fun. So it's Cameo.com /PA announcer if you want to shout out from the voice of Todd.
And there's no such thing as a shameless plug, in my humble opinion. But you're not wrong about the Dodger Globe thing. I've been in Europe and I've seen plenty of Dodger caps from non-Americans. So that's 100% true. But again, Todd, huge thanks. Go find him on Cameo. I'm probably going to ask my wife to do that for me for Father's Day now. So, I mean, that's just where we're at. But
that's right. Father's Day, too. Exactly.
Yeah. Father's Day is my birthday's next month, too. So, I mean, I'm just going to be like, listen, babe, go hit up the homie Todd Leitz and give me a cameo. And you should, too.
If you guys are ever at the stadium, send me a message or something via email or whatever and say, hey, we're at the stadium. I'd love to come out and meet you guys in person. You guys are cool guys and dig the podcast and I love your love for the Dodgers. So go Dodgers.
No, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, Todd.
All right, guys.